Well, it's a big day of cricket that lies ahead. We're back for another Super Sunday double-header. And yes, this time around, India are back. They've been spending the last week training, preparing, and all that for what looks like it could be a virtual quarter-final to make the semi-finals from group number 2. That's going to be the night game in Dubai, but of course, we'll continue to do the build-up for it here on Super Sunday. Also happens to be, just in case you can see over my right shoulder, it's Halloween, and I know it's a very Western concept, but be it in the subcontinent or even in the Middle East, they've gone pretty big on celebrating. So, who will put the fear into the opposition on this Halloween Sunday? We are going to find out. That's the second game, but we've got the imminent Namibia versus Afghanistan coming up in a few minutes' time, in 30 minutes' time. This is an afternoon game from the heat of Abu Dhabi, match number 27. But before we get to that, a quick mention on the big game that's coming up tonight with our guests in the Cricbuzz live studio. We wish we could call it a studio. We're all separated for the moment, but hopefully not for long. It's time to say good morning and good afternoon to Dinesh, Karthik, and Zaheer Khan. DK, big game coming up for India.
Oh, most definitely. I think all of India is very excited for it. It's great that it's happening on a Sunday. You can see the buzz. Everybody's looking forward to this, including, I think it's been a long break. Generally, you don't get a week's break, but this time, because of scheduling, interestingly, it's happened that India's got a week's break. So everybody is excited, and I'm sure from the little from that I've spoken to the players as well, they are really raring to go.
Yeah, it seems strange, Zaheer, at this stage of the tournament, we are only talking about one loss. Yes, it was a loss to a team you've played so much against, but just one loss, you're at the bottom end of the table and already a virtual quarter-final against New Zealand.
Well, when the group at the qualifying stages and this group was formed, everyone was saying, "Oh, India have a very easy group. It's going to be very easy run for them. How has this happened, and all those kind of things." But it was always going to be a tricky group. When you have two associate nations in one group, and then just say few strong teams, those games become very important, and that's the effect of that first game which India lost. And having about a 6-7 day break is certainly going to be helpful for the team in Team India, but the other teams actually it worked out well for team like Pakistan. When you are in on song, when you have the momentum with you, that's the time you play maximum games. You wouldn't have liked the break, but the scheduling actually worked in Pakistan's favor that way. And playing three games, sitting pretty on the table with 6 points. India is just basically looking at other teams going ahead, and the pressure. That's why I think on this game is definitely going to be higher than the normal games, because they know the importance of this game. In a way, it's nice because that if you have to beat New Zealand, and if you beat New Zealand, you're going to be in an uncomfortable scenario. Afghanistan, you will know what kind of net run rate they will have if they beat Namibia, because the spin of Afghanistan, we've seen what kind of impact it can have on an upcoming team and team at this level. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. India will have that advantage as well. They'll know exactly where Afghanistan is sitting in terms of net run rate, because net run rate may come into play now between these three teams.
Yes, it certainly might. We will give you that news. But DK, just to finish off on India, New Zealand, it's been a longish break, which, as Zaheer said, you don't expect in a tournament like this. How do you sort of G yourself up in all this time? Lots of interesting practice routines we've been seeing on social media, but you've got to keep yourself match focused in a sense in a 7 day break.
Definitely, absolutely right there, Gautam. I think you take the first couple of days off, you just do unwind, completely relax. It's okay. We've lost the game. Just reflect on it, just enjoy it. But slowly start raising the intensity in practice. And I think the day before the game is generally when you go, you take it off, but you go full tilt the other days and make sure you're ready mentally as well. I think the boys have been on the road for a long time. The last time they met up in India before they left for the World Test Championship was May 19th. It's been a long time on the road for them. So obviously unwinding, relaxing would have been a very integral part of this week for them. But through that, I'm sure, through social media, the videos that they've put up, they've been playing beach volleyball, doing all the things possible that you could do in a desert. But, UAE is a beautiful place to be. So I'm pretty sure they're enjoying it there, but they're all ready and they're raring to go against New Zealand tonight.
It certainly will be, but before that, they'll have an eye on this other game, which happens to be in the same group. It's Afghanistan taking on Namibia from Abu Dhabi, and there's some big news coming in for Afghanistan. Yes, they've done one thing right, which is winning the toss. They love batting first, so they will bat first. But one of their key spinners we talked about is out of the game, and that is going to be big news for them because he had such an impact against Scotland, who simply could not read Mujib, and Mujib is injured. And in comes the veteran commentator, gone back into the playing 11, Hamid Hassan. First reaction, Zaheer, how big is this going to be for them? Because yes, they've got Rashid, yes, they've got Nabi, but Mujib is just that mystery element.
I think huge. You've seen how he's bowled in the previous game as well, how he's bowled against the Scotland team. So that mystery factor. He bowls with the new ball as well. So that really sets the tone for Afghanistan bowling. But once you have those inroads, the opposition is on the back foot from the word go. So from that point of view, yes, big blow. I think Namibia will be very happy that their key bowler with the new ball is not going to be there.
Yes, Namibia, of course, are going unchanged. But before we see the Namibia, let's have a look at the Namibia team first and have a look at the unchanged team. They had enough of an impact last time around. Ruben Trumpelman, of course, was so deadly up front. Piquet France didn't get to show his wares, but the all-rounders in Visa and Smith, along with the experience of Erasmus, will be important. But before we really react to that, TK, the impact of losing someone like Mujib in a game like this, which for Afghanistan should be a must-win.
We keep speaking about three spinners, but out of that, Mohammad Nabi is very good, but there's no mystery about him. There were two mystery spinners. One is obviously Mujib and Rashid Khan. With Mujib missing out, they only have 4 overs to counter per se, where they wouldn't know which way the ball is turning. I'm sure they'll back themselves to bat against a Nabi. There is no doubt about that. It's interesting that they've brought a fast bowler in for a Mujib, which in many ways shows how irreplaceable it is for Mujib in this team. They've gone back to somebody who's been there for a long, long time. He bowls a decent, sharp pace. But what's going to be interesting is how much are they going to allow Afghanistan? That will dictate how they play Rashid Khan. If they give too many runs, then obviously they want to take on Rashid Khan, which could become very hard for them. If they can restrict Afghanistan to a decent total, then the chances of you playing a Rashid for, say, 20 runs or 24 runs becomes much more, easier in many ways, and they can relax a little bit.
Yeah, they certainly can. If only they had someone like Qais Ahmed to turn to be able to be a replacement. And I think now they just assume that Mujib would be around, but that's not going to happen. Coming to Namibia, Zaheer, I think they will probably look and say, well, that's an interesting power play because Mujib would have bowled maybe 2 or 3 overs in that power play, and their plans will suddenly change, knowing that they've got a little mystery out of the way.
Absolutely. They will be delighted to know that, he's not part of the playing 11. Bowling first, they will rely on Trumpelman again, to do the same magic what he has done in the previous game when they played Scotland. The only challenge which is going to be there is it's a day game. So we'll have to wait and see how much swing on offer. The conditions will actually be in favor of Afghanistan, because if you have spin as your strength, playing a day game, batting first or batting second doesn't really matter. In fact, I was surprised, when in the previous game they decided to bat first, not really taking into consideration the conditions. And you did see that the wicket got little easier. We've seen in these conditions, under lights, the wicket gets better to bat on. So that's something, which Afghanistan doesn't believe in clearly. But it's a day game, so shouldn't have any impact on the game that way.
Well, it certainly shouldn't. We certainly hope it won't. It'll just make that contest a little bit narrower, unlike Scotland, because we saw with the inexperience of Scotland, DK, against someone like a Mujib, Rashid came on so much later. By the time Rashid came on in that Scotland game, they were destroyed pretty much.
Yes, no doubt about it. Mujib got 5. When a spinner is able to get 5 wickets within his first 3 overs that he's bowled, it goes to show he's dominated that power play. They literally couldn't get him off the square. And I can understand Scotland. Obviously, it's a very different conditions that they keep playing in through and through. So for them to come to the subcontinent and play in conditions which suits spin is obviously not their strength. And you saw why they struggled to play against them. Again, Namibia, a very young team. So when I say young in terms of age, how long they've been playing the sport, the last time that they were around was in 2003. Then the interest dropped in the country a little bit. Again, it's picked up in the last 3 years. considering they've been doing well among the associate nations, and for them to get a chance to come to the World Cup and most importantly do well in the group stages. This will be a great game for them because they've beaten Scotland now. If they can beat Afghanistan, which is a step above Scotland, that would give them a lot of joy, but it would take a lot of work as well to beat this Afghanistan. They're a very, very strong team.
Well, they certainly are, but Afghanistan without Mujib will be a test for them today. But other interesting news coming out, one of the veterans of Afghanistan cricket, one of course is Hamid Hassan coming in, is Asghar Stanigzai, now known as Asghar Afghan. Zaheer announced his retirement mid-tournament. That just seems like the timing. Whenever we have any retirement announcement in the middle of a tournament, you always tend to question it. Why not wait till the end?
Well, honestly, it's an individual call. How an individual looks at things really matters in this scenario. And in a way, actually, even though it's a team sport, and you have to consider the overall scenario. End of the day, it boils down to how you're actually feeling about it. So it all depends on how you communicate. I'm sure he must have discussed it with his teammates as well, and taken their opinion. Is this something which I want to do? And he must have got that encouragement from the considered people here. So that's how it goes. I feel the individual calls. Usually in a team environment, when someone takes calls like this, you've seen it. There are plenty of examples like this in the past, where an individual has actually decided. I remember someone like Graham Swan also during the Ashes important tournament had decided that he's calling it quits. So just something which comes to you, and I'm sure he must have discussed with a few people around in the team. To consolidate his decision.
Yeah, and of course, high praise from the captain, Mohammad Nabi, who's talked about the contribution he's had to Afghanistan cricket, because really this is a team that started as just a wonderful story, just coming out there and being there in tournaments. And suddenly they've now been transformed into world beaters and people who can compete at the highest level. And someone like Asghar Afghan really needed to pass the baton. They needed him to be around for a while, and now he can hand over to the younger brigade, DK.
Oh, most definitely. I think I remember when we played the test match as well, he was the captain. He's somebody who's very well respected. He's revered in many ways. He's brought Afghanistan on the world map in cricket, which is great. It's very interesting the time he's chosen it. But many leaders I've seen, even that one of the biggest examples for me is an MS Dhoni. Right in the middle of a series, he said, thanks to Test cricket. It's a decision that comes from an internal point of view. You look at it and feel, okay, I think the time has come where it's important for me to move on. And I'm sure, just like Zach said, he would have had his conversations with the senior pros of the team and moved on. But I know for a fact that he's very well respected. He's really looked at as a big brother in that team, and he's contributed. His contribution is just not his batting. I think it's more to Afghanistan cricket and to the stage that he's brought them to, where he's competing with the best in the world and always pushing them. And a lot of credit must go to Asghar Afghan over a period of time.
Certainly has. He, in fact, went past MSD's record of most T20I wins. So, again, looking ahead, I don't think it's something that Afghanistan Zaheer will look at as a void. They know he's done his job, and they know that he's been responsible for a lot of youngsters coming in and therefore being able to fill the shoes that he's left.
Absolutely. So he's been around for over a decade now. Has played an important role in terms of grooming all these youngsters around him, which we see right now are pros at world level. Playing franchise cricket in different parts of the world. So that is something which has been his journey, the team's journey. The important thing what we've seen with Afghanistan is they've been around for 15 years maybe. And then playing that, I remember playing that T20 World Cup in West Indies
in 2010.
So when Afghanistan was just about starting, and it's their passion for the game, their dedication for the game, which has got them here. Because we've seen one thing when you look at Namibia as well, they were part of 2003 World Cup. And after that, it took a long while for them to again come back at this level, the highest level, back in this circuit. which Afghanistan actually, once they got onto it, they stayed there. So that shows the desire, the work ethics which they've had, and the culture which they've developed around in the team, and passion for the game. Which in say some other teams, the team which we can think of is maybe Bangladesh, who's been around for so many years, for them to be achieving this consistency at the highest level. So I think that credit must be given to Afghanistan, because in a such short time they've been able to now compete at the highest level, where even the main teams cannot take them lightly. That they have the bowling attack or the resources to win games of cricket. So you got to be very watchful when you play against them.
Yeah, interesting. Since Zaheer brought up 2010, I remember the transformation, DK. Since talking about the Wicket Keepers Club, I was sitting on a beach in Barbados during that tournament, just a day before the tournament started, and this gentleman comes up to me and says, "Excuse me," and I just thought he was a fan. We didn't know enough about Afghan cricket. He said, "When you go to the field for the next match, can you please introduce me to MS Dhoni?" I said, "Well, how can I introduce you to MS Dhoni? You won't get access to the field." He said, No. Leave that to me. I will be on the field." I said, "Sir, how are you going to be on the field?" He said, "I'm also a player, sir. I just wanted to meet MS. My name is also MS. It was Mohammad Shahzad." And he was actually coming up to me and saying, "Can you introduce me to MS Dhoni, who's his idol, still is his idol?" And of course, now he competes. He plays the helicopter shot almost just as well, DK.
he's, a, he's an amazing case study, actually, Mohammad Shahzad. He came to, obviously, he's a very talented batsman, plays quite a bit of the leagues around the world, has done well for himself. But obviously, when he did play that helicopter shot, a lot of attention was given to him because he played it and then turned around, looked at MS Dhoni, and obviously the social media picked up on it. And, they enjoyed that whole scenario that happened between both of them. I think MS Dhoni also has interacted with him, likes him a lot. He's a very, very affable guy. So he's been somebody who's been around in Afghanistan cricket for a long, long time. He's one of those very similar to the Nabis and the Rashid Khans who have been there right from the start and have taken Afghanistan cricket to a special height.
But DK, since we talked about keeping, I mean, there was a feeling in world cricket that yes, he's great, stand and deliver with the bat. Will he be caught out with the gloves in hand? And he's shown that he hasn't. What about that catch the other day?
Oh, he's a very safe keeper. I think you need some good wicket keeping skills to be keeping to Rashid Khan consistently. That is one aspect of his keeping to the spinners, which he is pretty good at. Don't go by the way he looks. He's very, very safe. He takes all the catches that come his way. He's more than equipped to deal with anything that comes, especially for spinners. For fast bowlers, the other day when he dived to his right to take that spectacular catch, it was fabulous to watch. It goes to show that he's very athletic as well, which is seen in his batting and his running between the wickets as well. But again, in his keeping, it is coming through. He's a very safe keeper. He's done well for himself in Test cricket in the little that he's played, and a very, very interesting character as well.
Yeah, and if you see him on social media, the other day, Zach, he was being interviewed, and they were saying, "Oh, your hair is looking pretty good. How long did you take?" So he said, 35 seconds. This is natural beauty.
Yeah, is that sort of a character, and all these diving around or his wicket keeping, actually when they bat first, depends on how many twos he has run in his innings. So if he's not run enough while batting, then he's going to be very energetic on the field. Otherwise, he will just take it easy in terms of how he manages. One thing for sure, how he goes by is that whatever is required, I will do it. Don't expect extra if he's had a really good innings. That's something which was always a joke going around. In T10 as well. If he's played a longish innings, then he's going to be very conservative keeper. If he's not played a long innings or hit more boundaries and sixes than he's ran, then he is going to be energetic keeper.
Crikey, there was one innings in T10 of his, I remember, where they finished the match in 4 overs or something crazy like that, and he was just hitting every ball out of the stadium. But they'll be hoping to get that sort of contribution from MS when they come out to bat first. Let's just focus on the game at hand. Afghanistan's approach, knowing that there's no extra insurance, DK, of Mujib. Last time around, they played a big game. They batted first, put on extra runs on the board. So they're not really worried about dew. And now, of course, it's an afternoon game, so dew doesn't really play a part.
No, definitely. Dew is not something that's in their minds. I really like the fact that they backed their style of cricket and they won the toss and elected to bat even against Pakistan, knowing that the dew would be there. they backed the spinners to do a job, and they almost did it. They got it to 2 overs 24. Asif Ali played some brilliant shots there. I like the confidence that they have in their style of cricket, which is very important for you to succeed in international cricket. Even here, they'll come out all guns blazing. I can promise you that Mohammad Shahzad will definitely come out smoking. And then they have Gulabdin, and they have Hazratullah Zazai, who's obviously somebody who takes on the bowlers. They have Rahmanullah Gurbaz, and most importantly, Najibullah Zadran, who's somebody who rotates strike well and can take on the spinners as well. So they have well-rounded batting. But what's going to be interesting is, can they get to that pass score, which is around the 160 mark?
Yeah, and interesting, the other day they used Karim Jannat, who's always been that all-rounder lower in the order, but used to only bat at 7, 8, maybe 6. So they used him up the order. So Zaheer, it just shows the flexibility they have. If they need a certain kind of batsman out there, they held Najibullah Zadran back in the last match against Pakistan.
But they just rely on that power at the top. You've seen Zazai is not going to hold back. Shahzad is not going to hold back. Gurbaz also is someone who likes to be aggressive. So I think those top three are going to matter them the most. And like how they have set a template for their play. Win the toss, bat first. They feel that that's the way to be. That's a positive, aggressive decision. So the decision making also has been very much on the positive side. First three batters, go out there, just express yourself fearlessly. Is something which I've seen with this unit. You can fail, but their approach is not going to change. So in the previous game, you saw as soon as they lost those early wickets, then somehow they don't know how to come out of it. They rely on the all-rounders. Yes, Nabi played a good hand. Gulbadin Naib played a good hand in that innings. But when you have a good start, everything falls into place nicely. And the number usually which they chase is that 145, 150 number, because they know that they have the bowling resources to restrict any team or cause troubles. So they work on this pressure tactics of the game. So they let the game decide and help them once they're defending. Yes, Mujibur Rahman is not going to be there, but still their process of winning a game is going to remain the same.
Interesting, Zaheer should use the word chase. It's something we've been talking about, DK, on this show. Teams batting first, who may not like that as an option, don't really treat batting first as a chase, which means you keep a certain target in mind and treat it like a run chase. We've got to get to this kind of a total. And I think teams like Afghanistan have started adapting and understanding that how to play the game if batting first is your preferred option.
Yes, I think a lot depends on the first six. If they get going, then they try and get as many as they can. But in case they don't get going, which is also a possibility because the wickets have been hard at times, then they will try to get to that 140 to 150 mark, just as Zach said, because I think they're very comfortable with that. But without Mujib, it's a slightly tricky one this time. But still, I think they are happy to be scoring somewhere round about 140 to 150, which has given them success over a period of time. Even when they're playing in India, they were playing in Noida. They played a lot of games where they used to get teams to score 120, 130 and bundle them out even if they were chasing 145. So they know their cricket, they know their strengths, they play to it. They're a pretty solid, well-rounded T20 unit.
Yeah, Zaheer, let's come to left arm quick. How impressive Ruben Trumpelman came out of nowhere. I mean, we all were talking about the Visas, the Smiths, the Erasmuses of the world, and suddenly this big guy comes in there and just blasts Scotland out. So he'll still want to be doing pretty much the same against Afghanistan.
Well, he got all the left-hand bowlers dismissals. The ball coming back in, the ball holding its line, just a touch, extra bounce, nicking batsmen off. So that is something which was really great to see. I think he's a good talent. He bowls a heavy ball. Yes, a bit more extra pace. Never going to harm any bowler. So that is something which he has to work on. But he looked good. He's someone in modern day cricket. Actually, if you see, there are not many bowler who is able to swing the ball, be it the new ball or the old ball. So when you see someone swing the ball like that, it's always heartening to see.
But at least the good thing about Namibia, DK, is that when it comes to associate nations, we've seen a lot of teams relying on one player, two players, sometimes the expats in a sense, like a David Visa. But what Namibia have now is a group of players, all of whom can contribute. Trumpelman one game, Smith one game, Erasmus one game. And so they've had contributions up and down the order. And Froilink as well was very impressive in his first couple of games in the qualifiers.
One of the reasons why they're here playing the Super 12 is because different people have contributed to them at different points of time. Obviously, all the names that you've just said, the Freilinks, the Trumpelman, the David Wiese, Smith, and obviously their, captain Gerard Erasmus. They've all done well in different games, and it's great to see them here. It's a beautiful fairy tale kind of story, and if I genuinely wish that if they find a way to compete against Afghanistan, if they can cross the line against Afghanistan, it'll give Namibian cricket a different boost, because it's one thing playing against associate nations and one thing trying to beat a test nation, which has just got the status. So they have it in them to beat an Afghanistan. They have to play tight cricket, play to their strengths. It is great to watch. And the fact that they have so many well-rounded players, especially the middle order, all big names coming from Namibia. So it'll be good to see how much they can obviously, help in crossing the line. They have, obviously Albie Mokel as well as the assistant coach, which should help. He's played a lot of games. He's played the IPL. So he'll have enough experience to share to the rest of the Namibian cricketers.
Well, since the Dinesh Karthik mentioned Albie Mokel there in the lineup, we were just saying that is Albie Mokel fit enough just in case they ever need an extra player and if he is eligible for them. For now, we've got a little quote from the former South African quick all-rounder, in fact. You must remember that cricket was sort of a dying sport for the last 18 years in Namibia after the last time they featured in that 2003 World Cup that Zaheer Khan referred to. So in the last 3 years, people started watching cricket again because the team did really well. As a young kid, you want to associate yourself with a national hero, and that's what these guys have achieved in the last 3 years. They've become national heroes. Now, that's the big thing. There has to be a bit of success, even if it means you're getting to a World Cup. And now they've got to the second round of a World Cup, Zaheer, which is so big for them at the expense of a more experienced associate like Ireland.
Absolutely. So they are on this journey, and as you win more, the interest in your country is going to go up, and that is something which is going to inspire more cricketers to take up cricket seriously, and then evolve from there. The better talent, better infrastructure is something which is going to help them become better cricketers and playing more games. So that is what I was talking about when I was looking at Afghanistan. They've managed to achieve that. There is no other way of success when it comes to cricket. So you have to follow this process, and I think if you are consistently following that, then you'll see Namibia featuring regularly as well, and that's something which Albie Mokel was trying to explain and trying to inspire the next generation of cricketers in Namibia to look at the sport, to start playing it, and get that passion, get that new talent, and attract them to the system.
Yep. People often look at cricket in India and the success of cricket in India and why cricket maybe is a little ahead of other sports, not because there's any bias. It's about success. 83, 85, 2007, 2011. It's not a coincidence. Win those trophies and people will come flocking to you. And these associate nations are doing fabulously well to get wins under their belt. Well, just before we get our little predictions in for an Afghan score, will it be this side or the other side of 140, 150? Let's get our joy factor question in very quickly for this Super Sunday doubleheader. Very short question, but it also means it'll make you think more. In the world of cricket, what happened a total of 7 times on December 26th, 1995? That's got to be a fascinating question. Not too many hints in there. Just look at the date. In the world of cricket, this happened 7 times on the same date. Well. Look forward to trying to solve this one. For now, gentlemen, the only thing we need to solve is far simpler than Joy's question, Zaheer. Afghanistan, 20 overs. How much are they going to get?
Well, I think I'll go in with 170.
170. They'll be delighted with that. Everyone in Afghanistan will be saying, absolutely, that's kind of what we want. And remember, no Mujib. They need that. DK, higher, lower?
160.
170, 160. Do I trust the Trumpelmans of the world to keep it lower than that? Yeah, I'll go lower than that. even figure, 150. 170, 160, 150. Let's see where Afghanistan finish up. Once again, a reminder, they've won the toss. They're batting first. There's no Mujibur Rahman. Hamid Hassan is in. We will have lots to discuss as we build up to this game. And of course, building up to India versus New Zealand. We'll see you in the 10th over, Cricbuzz Combox. And of course, in the mid innings. That's all from Dinesh, Karthik, Zaheer Khan and myself on Cricbuzz Live.